is consideration action on resolution on oath of office and work schedule for the city clerk. Excuse me. This says, whereas the newly appointed city clerk, Phyllis Moreland Richardson, has not taken an oath of office since her appointment in a special called meeting on June 26, 2014. Whereas the mayor stated that she was following the advice and opinion of her personal litigation counsel that no oath of office was necessary because Phyllis Moreland Richardson had previously taken the oath of office on January 10, 2014. Whereas the January 10, 2014 appointment and oath were contested by the City Council as unauthorized because the position was occupied by Melissa Arnold at the time, and there was no vacancy in the position which would allow an appointment by the mayor under Charter Section 3.13. Whereas the city has traditionally initiated the term of the city clerk by the administration of oath of office. Whereas Phyllis Moreland Richardson has been informed by the mayor that she can work 4 days a week instead of 5 days a week, while other city administrative employees work 5 days a week, and the city's clerk's salary has been set based on a 5-day work week. Whereas the City Council desires to encourage Phyllis Moreland Richardson to work hours prescribed for the position so that she will be available to the citizens of Snellville during the normal hours of City Hall operations every week. Whereas the City Council is very aware of the issues that will be created by having a 5-day work week for some employees and a 4-day work week for the city clerk. Whereas the City Council desires to congratulate the new city clerk through the public acknowledgement of the oath of office in a way that celebrates her appointment and encourages her to succeed in new responsibilities. It is hereby resolved that Phyllis Moreland Richardson shall take the traditional oath of office as soon as possible in a public celebration of her appointment. Be it further resolved that Phyllis Moreland Richardson is hereby required to perform her duties during the normal hours of City Hall operations 5 days a week. Is there a motion to approve this resolution?
So moved.
There's a motion by Councilman Witz. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Emmanuel. Further discussion?
Basically, this just says what it is. There was some confusion over the city clerk's hours. Again, all we're asking is that the same schedule that Melissa Arnold, the predecessor, has, and the same hours that everyone else who works in the administrative department of the city has. I think Ms. Richardson was just not informed properly. The mayor's, I guess, offered her 4 days. Once again, that's not something that the mayor individually can do. So we're just asking that. And the other thing is there's twofold on the swearing in. I really don't know what the big deal is. Ms. Richardson is certainly our city clerk. We want to celebrate that appointment with her. And we also want to make sure that the city is not in any liability situation because documents are signed by our city clerk who someone could say never took the oath of office after their appointment. And that could be a problem. And it could cost us to defend that. So those are the only two reasons for it. I think Ms. Richardson's done a great job. Her and I have had several conversations. I think she's doing a great job. I don't think there's any problem. All we're trying to do is, again, get things on the record so everybody understands exactly what's expected.
Additional comment?
If I could, please. At the tail end of the June 26 meeting, I raised that particular issue with regard to the swearing in. And I had concerns then that, if we didn't do this the right way, could very well subject our city to additional legal consequence. Since then, it's also been raised by Councilmember Bender that there's, question in her mind. I can speak for me. It was a question for me on the 26th. It remains a question today. And I would just like to see it done in a way that reflects the date that is reflective of the settlement agreement of the 26th. And again, restate my belief that the actions of this mayor on the 10th of January were not valid and should in no way be recognized as being valid.
Additional comment on this resolution? Again, this is more of just dancing the dance. I understand Councilman Howard's feelings. He's expressed those several times about my actions on January 10th. But the truth is the settlement agreement did not address whether what happened on January 10th, 2014 was valid or not. What we agreed is that we were going to move forward from the date of the settlement thereafter, and that Ms. Phyllis Moreland Richardson would be recognized as a city clerk by the members of council. There was no ruling by the court, and there was no language in the settlement agreement invalidating what happened on January 10th. We actually had a nice ceremony for Ms. Phyllis Moreland Richardson on January 10th. Her husband was there with her. Her son had come in from Florida, and he was present. Her pastor was present. And we do have a video and photographs of that ceremony that we have shared previously with members of council, and the signed oath that she was given at that time when I initially made her appointment. At the council meeting on June 26th, my language was that I reappointed Ms. Phyllis Moreland Richardson to the position of city clerk. In Snellville, it has always traditionally been the procedure that when board appointments are reappointed, when the city clerk is appointed annually in previous years, they don't re-administer the oath of office. There's no reason here for the oath of office to be re-administered other than council wants to make some point as to what happened on January 10th. And that was not the purpose of the settlement agreement. That's not the spirit in which it was signed. As far as the 4-day work week, we, here in the city of Snellville until maybe 4 or 5 years ago, everyone worked a 4-day work week. City Hall was actually closed on Fridays. At the time, members of council decided we wanted City Hall to be open on Fridays, but because we wanted citizens to be able to do city business 5 days a week. We passed a policy saying City Hall should be open, but we made it up to the discretion of department directors as to what employees would actually work on Fridays. Currently, our police officers, our public works department, and our parks department work 4-day work weeks. They work longer hours during the day. So they do work 40 hours a week, but they work longer hours. City Hall is open, but we do have some staff members that are off on Fridays, some staff members that are off on Mondays. The conversation with Ms. Phyllis Moreland Richardson is she is a department director. If you look at our organizational chart, she is the second highest employee in the city of Snellville next to the city manager. She doesn't report to any other employees. She doesn't keep a time card. She doesn't clock in and out. There's many times during the day where she has to have meetings. There's many times during the day where she's here like tonight until 10 o'clock at night, still working. For other staff members, when they work more than 40 hours a week, they are compensated by giving time off throughout the week. Now you have to remember this all came up after Ms. Phyllis Moreland Richardson's salary was cut from $59,000 that was budgeted to $46,000 by this council. Ms. Phyllis Moreland Richardson, since she has gotten here, has always worked 40 hours a week, but she has sometimes obtained 40 hours a week before Fridays. She has been working on Fridays. She was here this past Friday. She has agreed because of the grievances put up by council that she will be here every Friday, whether or not she has something to do or not. She will be here Friday in her office to make members of council happy. She will be here even if she's working 60 hours a week. Because what people don't understand, if she has a meeting on Wednesday and she gets an open records request, she has to respond to that request within 48 hours. And so she can't just say, oh, I'm going to wait and do that on Friday. She has to stay there Wednesday till she gets it done, which may mean she's here past 5 o'clock because she has to get that work done on that day, which means she may be working several hours each week. But if council wants her to be here on Friday, she'll be here on Friday. And this council was told that last week before this resolution was drafted, but they still chose to go forward with this resolution tonight. This is, again, just dancing the same dance, and it's unnecessary, and I will not support it. I will call the question. All those in favor of the resolution as stated?
Can I make one more statement?
Yeah,
Sure.
there's a lot of misinformation in
Yeah,
there,
hang
Mayor.
on what, Mr. Witts, can I first, please?
Please.
Since 2011, there hasn't been, in 2011, 12, 13, there hasn't been an annual appointment of a city clerk. So there hasn't been anything since then. That was one thing. And the other thing is, you know, we just simply are sitting here trying, and I'll speak just for me because that's all I can do. And if y'all have seen me dance, you know I'm not a dancer, so I can't dance. $115,000, $115K is what this city has spent legal fees because the plaintiff sitting to my left has decided to file a bunch of lawsuits. So that K isn't standing for 1,000 now. That K stands for counts.
City Hall has never been closed on Friday. Previously to 2010, City Hall was open 5 days a week, but 50% of the administrative staff was off on Friday, 50% of the administrative staff was off on Monday, which means that we ran at 100%, 60% of the time. I was one of the persons who led that change to 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, so that if you came in on Friday with a question and the man wasn't there and you asked somebody else and then that guy was off on Monday, that it wouldn't be till Tuesday before you got your question asked and answered. Had nothing to do with our, we have a wonderful staff, had nothing to do with that. What this is all about is just being available to the citizens 5 days a week. That was in 2010 we did that. Since then, the city manager, the city clerk, the city administrative assistant, the IT person, the people in finance, and the HR people have all worked 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. This is not, we get blamed for we're continuing. No, what are we continuing? We're asking to have some person who has a job to work the hours that the previous people worked, and every other person in that department works. This oath, what? I don't understand the big deal. I'm not, if you believe that you were sworn in on January 10th, that's what you believe, fine. You are now the city clerk. All we're asking to do, I mean, what's wrong with removing the city's liability by swearing in again? And what is the mayor's objection to having the clerk sworn in again? The mayor has a fiduciary responsibility to the citizens of this city to protect it from liability. And us having documents, and now bear in mind, for 6 months, the mayor would not sign one document that was signed by Melissa Arnold because Melissa Arnold was not the clerk. So we went for 6 months without having documents signed. But now, that 5 members of this council have a question, that all we're trying to do is to protect the citizens of the city of Snellville from lawsuits and liability. Now we're prolonging this lawsuit. It's an oath. There's no blood drawn, no knives involved. It's an oath, and that oath protects the city. We're not prolonging anything. This is just another tactic of how these things get prolonged. It's a simple oath.
I'll call the question. All those in favor of the resolution as previously read signify by raising your right hand. That's 5 in favor. All those opposed, 1 opposed. The resolution stands approved. That now brings us to our council reports. Councilman Witz.
I think I've said enough about the situation that's going on. However, there is something I wanted to mention. During this trial, and I will not speak about this anymore after tonight, I promise you, but because it's brought up tonight, there's some things that need to be said. As one of the attorneys said during the trial, this is more like a divorce trial than it is a trial about what's happening in the city. We were strong, but the strongest man in that room was Butch Sanders. Butch Sanders was assassinated personally, is the nicest way I could say it. The man stood there when he was asked the question and said, I believe that's wrong. I believe I've had a master's degree. No one on the other side believed him. All they did was push it and push it and push it and push it. And all of a sudden, it didn't become about what was going on right or wrong in the city. It was all about our city manager and his education. Butch walked up to us and he said, I believe I got it. And we believed he had it. And we fought for him, just like we fought for Melissa. I'd fight just as hard for Ms. Richardson if she was in that position. This is about loyalty to employees, period. Butch, I think you owed an apology, and I'll know you never get it. But I want you to know, I think I can speak for all the members of council, that the bravery that you showed us during that trial is commendable. And if nothing else, you have gotten even more loyalty from me just by the way you refused to back down, stood your ground, and I'm thrilled that you had your night tonight.
Councilwoman Bender.
Oh, I have some happy news, and somehow I don't think this is going to make the news report. The city has gotten recognition for its economic development activity. And this recognition comes from an award being presented by the International Economic Development Association. The city was just notified that they are being presented with the Bronze Award in Economic Development for its hard work and its implementation of the work done by the City Economic Development Department, the Snellville Entrepreneur Council, and the Entrepreneurship Alliance, which is the program that has been created through the efforts of Eric Van Otteren, our Economic Development Manager, and Scott Allen, the business teacher at South Gwinnett High School, through the blessing of then Principal Clay Hunter, who agreed to establish an entrepreneurship program at the school, which is now in its third year. Is that right, Eric? It's now in its third year, 2 classes going, juniors and senior level, and the program is now being spread through Gwinnett County high schools and also being introduced in the middle schools as well with a couple of day-a-week curriculum. So I'm very proud that the efforts that have been undertaken here in the city, driven largely by Eric Van Otteren, and also with the work of the Snellville Entrepreneurship Council and its volunteers, and with the people and the businesses that have helped the South Gwinnett High School Entrepreneurship Program take hold. This is a tremendous effort, and I think this is tremendous recognition for our city, and it really goes a long way for us being on the cutting edge and leading best practices for how to develop an entrepreneurship ecosystem here in the city. So, Eric, thank you for your hard work and your leadership in this area. And, I think this is great news for the city. Thank you.
Where do I start? First thing I want to do is thank Tony Powell, his firm, Kevin Talon and his firm. I think they did an outstanding job with the case. They tried to minimize the city's exposure, the city's expense. Tony always says we have to do what's best for the city. Sometimes he and I disagree on what that is. He's always right, though. And he always makes that point that we have to do the city's business the best way we can, keep our expenses low. It was an unfortunate situation. I don't think it was necessary. I think when you have litigation before a conversation, you've just set the tone. And I've never been sued before, and since I've been on the council, I've been sued twice. And it's been an experience. it's an unfortunate experience simply because of the waste of time and money. And had there been conversation before and that conversation led to a brick wall, that's kind of understandable, because at that point you have no alternative. But when litigation is your first response, I think that sets a tone, and I sincerely hope it doesn't happen again. For a long time, gave me a lot of blogging material, but I think in the long run, what we need to do is concentrate on the positive things. Our city does a lot of great things for a lot of people. And that needs to be our focus. And anytime we have diversions, it takes away from that focus, and I think it hurts everybody. So we hope that the litigation is gone. As for Mr. Sanders, he'll probably be somewhat embarrassed. I never had any doubt that he had a master's degree. I also never doubted the reasons for the false accusations that claimed he didn't. Those accusations, in my opinion, were made in a desperate attempt to win a baseless lawsuit at any cost. I'm sure everyone involved will say that the attempted character assassination of Mr. Sanders was somebody else's idea. That doesn't matter, because nobody on the accusing side made any attempt to stop what I consider an unconscionable attack on a man who has done nothing but good things for our city. My comments are probably going to be taken as just some more evidence of contention and dancing by the council. It's anything but that. This has nothing to do with the council and everything to do with a vicious attack on a city employee. So it needs to be on the record that the highly publicized allegations against Mr. Sanders are false. It's my sincere hope that this is the last of such ethically bankrupt attacks and the negative publicity they generate. 5 members of this council are able to work out our differences and build a consensus without creating a public spectacle. This is an invitation to make it 6 members of the council who can do that. You all have a good night and a good ride home.
I'm at a loss. There's a lot I'd like to say and probably shouldn't. So I'm constantly challenged sitting on this dais. There's a lot of good things happening. I want a lot of good things to continue. And so I'll put one foot in front of the other, and I'm going to keep going. And everything I touch and everything I complete and everything I research and everything I do will be positive for this city. And I will do it to the best of my ability. If I'm not knowledgeable in the area, I will be educated. I will ask the staff for help and professionals in this city to help me make the decisions I need to make. There really is a lot of good going on in Snellville, a lot of good. There's a lot of things that you don't know about yet, but you're going to hear about them, and you will be cheering, and you will be saying, I'm proud to be a citizen in Snellville. Have a safe trip home, and I hope to see you again.
Well, how y'all doing tonight? All right, we're good. Well, it's funny, Eric. I have to share this with everybody. When I first walked in, and some of you that have been here know I'm kind of the picture person. I walked up just very sincerely. I looked at Eric and I said, "Would you get my pictures?" And all the color came out of her face then. And then I assured her that I hadn't sent any tonight, so she was relieved at that. Couple of things. If you've noticed, in front of South Gwinnett High School, the Wells Fargo, the Burger King, and all that intersection right there, you notice anything new right there? Something we should celebrate. Crosswalks. So that's something that this council has always envisioned and always wanted there. So we certainly want to thank the Georgia Department of Transportation and everybody involved in that, making that happen. The other thing is, if you notice coming in the door, and I have to, there's a lot of people to thank, but I publicly want to certainly thank our Public Safety Department, which I believe just accolade after accolade. Charlie, Captain, pass on to everybody how much we appreciate everything you do. But our cop cab is getting quite a bit of press. I hope you saw it when you came in. We've been out in the community with it already. We did a fundraiser the other night at Wild Wing Cafe for a family that had been affected by a drunk driver. So we have these cards made, and my last public acknowledgement of the way that car looks out there is an absolute appreciation for the work Kathy Emanuel does. Kathy, I love you. Thank you very much. Because she does this kind of stuff, and she makes stuff I do look really good. And in fact, she feeds me half of my meals anyway. So anyway, we'll let that one go. The other thing is that on a closing note is that continue to support and shop locally. The local businesses here recognize when our citizens are spending their hard-earned dollars, and they're trying very desperately to earn your business. So, we have to continue to support and shop locally, and that's, something I will always, encourage everybody to do, because they recognize that, and I know it being in the business community that they do that, and I want to thank y'all that do that. I want to thank y'all for doing that. So, outside of that, thank y'all very much for coming. I know it's been a long night, late night. Thank y'all very much, and drive safe going home.
That concludes the council reports. Now for the mayor's report. I want to say, anytime you have litigation, an issue is always witness credibility. And there were several questions that led up to the diploma issue for Mr. Sanders. And those are things that don't need to be re-aired. That's just, again, airing Snellville's dirty laundry and going back and forth. And I don't want to do that tonight. I am happy that Mr. Sanders got his diploma. I have always felt that he is a good city manager. Otherwise, I would not have agreed to the settlement agreement, which said he would continue on as our city manager. And so that's all. Like Councilwoman Kraus, there's a lot I could say on that issue, but that's as far as I'm going to go with that, and hope we can move forward. There are a lot of good things happening in Snellville. I didn't get my pictures to Miss Fleeman, but we did have Lincolnton, is it called Brew House or is it called Growlers? Lincolnton Fill Station. Thank you. Open up last Saturday, I think. They are in the old Blimpie Shopping Center. It looks fabulous. They've done a great job renovating. My husband was in there today, and they're already talking about how they want to expand. So we also have Polo Tropical and Krispy Kreme that have put in applications to have land rezoned here in the city of Snellville. We have Chipotle's that has broken ground. So we have all kinds of businesses and good things happening in our city. Summertime is over. School will be starting. And so it's time. Hope everyone enjoyed their summer and their vacation, but it's time for us to get back to work. I know we have several events coming up. I want to mention briefly that Volkswagen has an event coming up on August 8th, is the grand reopening, but then on August 9th and 10th, they're going to be having a community event. If you have children, they're going to have representatives from the FBI there, and you can take your children to be fingerprinted so that will be on file. So that's a great community event for anyone that has little ones. I thank everyone for coming out tonight. With that, I'll conclude my mayor's report and open it for public comment. Please state your name and address for the record. And Captain Perry, can you put this back up there? If you will please also sign our sheet. Thank you.
Tricia Rollins, 2088 Harbor Oaks Drive. In regards to the Grace Church issue, I live behind Staples, and there is a big difference between a buffer in the summer and a buffer in the winter. Let me tell you, I have 50 feet I wish I had 60 feet. You're asking them to compromise to 25 feet. Just know that there's a big difference from winter to summer. Thank you.
Good evening, I'm Constance Folsom. I live at 340 Meadows Drive. And my public comment tonight is that I just want to say on behalf of the NAACP and the SCLC and Moral Monday and several organizations that represent and help hold our citizens accountable for good government, is that we're not happy with the decisions that you've made tonight to ask Ms. Anderson to redo the oath. Someone commented that you're asking her to redo the oath because the previous person was already in office, and then someone else made a comment that contradicted that. So if someone else was already in office, then why would the city initiate an oath on January the 10th? It's not like Ms. Anderson initiated the oath herself. And also, Mr. Willis, if you are really supporting Ms. Anderson and you guys have voted for a 5-day work week, are you voting for a readjustment in her salary? And so we just feel like that you haven't thoroughly looked at all the implications here. Thank you.
Jamie Dempsey, 430 Crested View Drive, Loganville. Just want to say that it's really exciting to see how much business is being done in Snellville these days. Proud to say that there are quite a few things that have been going on with the Chamber of Commerce and in the business community. Today we had an open house at Cabana Grill. Want to thank everybody who was able to make it out there, and ask that, kind of like Councilman Howard says, shop local and go support some of these local businesses. Also would like to say that and invite everyone, council and public, there is a ribbon cutting on August 1st for Supercuts at 1630 Scenic Highway at 9:30 a.m. We'd love to see all of you guys out there for that. And then another ribbon cutting, another opening for Resurgence Orthopedics on August 13th at 1600 Medical Way, Suite 150 at 10 a.m. So it's really great, and it's wonderful, Councilman Bender, what's going on with economic development. The proof is in the pudding, and these businesses are they're becoming viable. They are locating in the city of Snellville, and I want to congratulate Mayor and Council and the business community here in Snellville for being a part of growing the business community in Snellville. Thank you.
My name is Carol Hall, 1720 Tuffstown Court. I want you all to know that I came here tonight with such a heavy heart. It grieves me so much what's going on in this city government. But just so I can stay on point and not miss anything I want to say, I'm gonna resort to my notes, okay? I wonder if Mr. Tony Powell is being double paid. First as city attorney, then as attorney to the defendants. It is hard to tread through this den and forest of deceit and this smoke cloud that you all put up to confuse all of us. With your double speak, triple speak, behind speak. But from what I understand, from my simple layman's understanding and my slightly above average understanding of legalese by virtue of being a paralegal, it boils down to being a battle of the city council against the mayor in her efforts to clean up conflicts of interest that has existed in the city government for some time, like an overpaid city attorney who is in a position of possible conflict of interest since he's also on the city council of the city of Lawrenceville. Also, her enormous and commendable efforts to diversify the city government of Snellville against much fight back. From what I understand and observe, as soon as the mayor was not in agreement with some of your decisions, you all methodically stripped her of her mayoral rights by changing the charter, locked her out of meetings and areas in the city council office, used her signature to sign items that she was not privy to, and blocked every appointment that she made. In regards to Ms. Richardson's hours, a month ago, you all called an emergency meeting to strip her of her pay. And it was commendable how Mayor Pro Tem Tom Witts rationalized it. Stripped her of certain responsibilities and moved her office to an obscure area to exclude her from activities within the city council. Now you are saying that you do not see why Ms. Richardson should not work the same hours as Ms. Arnold did. So why? Why? Please tell me, why can't she get paid the same as Ms. Arnold did? Okay. As well, flexible work schedules are a commonplace thing in the U.S. today. Even in the federal government where I'm employed, there's flexible work schedules. 10-hour days for 1 day off per week, or 9-hour days for 1 day off every other week. As well, there's even telework. Flexible work schedules and flexible work situations are commonplace in government today. I see here the city clerk working past 10 o'clock on a Monday night. I came here tonight with a great feeling of sadness, distressing the very core of me as I grow more aware of the racial disparity that has been occurring here in the city of Snellville. From the time a minority member who's an avid and knowledgeable gardener sought to be a member of the Community Garden Committee, where she was avidly blocked from being so, but due to her persistence and tenacity, through you all realizing what a valuable asset she would be to the community garden, you all finally ran out of reasons to resist her becoming a member of the committee. From that to now, the workplace harassment and hostile work environment that Ms. Richardson is being made to endure is going to cost this city millions of dollars in workplace laws and civil rights violations. You speak of the $115,000 lawsuit that was just completed in court. Now, with every unfair act that you commit against Ms. Richardson in the workplace, you are racking up a lawsuit in the millions of dollars against the city of Snellville in regards to civil rights and workplace laws violations. But you are so adamant about your persistence, your resistance to change, and remaining the last bastion of prehistoric and pre-civil rights America, that you don't care You don't care how much of our city dollars you flush down the toilet in a civil rights and workplace harassment lawsuit just because you're mean-spirited. I'm so sad because the environment here in Snellville city government is so thick with exclusion. It really, really is. From everything that you say to all of your actions here and outside of the city council chambers, to the comments in your very own blogs, you could slice the ear with a sword to cut through the thickness of bias and exclusion in this community. Several times the mayor has sought to diversify the Snellville city government by appointing minorities to positions and unpaid voluntary positions at that. And the rest of the city council blocked her for no good reason. And we minority citizens had to sit there and watch that. When I last asked, there were only 3 minorities in the entire city of Snellville government. Can you all say that this is a representation of the population of the city of Snellville? There's a very historic and noble outcry that says no taxation without representation. I ask, why am I paying taxes to the city when you all don't want to fairly represent me in my government? I've been observing such underhanded things going on in this viperous den since I began to get involved. From y'all giving a large pay raise to the city manager in the amount of what I believe was $25,000 without any kind of performance evaluation, where me as a federal government employee only got a 1% raise, to y'all cutting the pay of a lowly and humble city clerk by $13,000 just because she's not the same color as you all. No matter how you twist it, and no matter how you try to explain it, it still boils down to the obvious. Ms. Richards.
You're well past your 5 minutes.
Excuse me, I believe I'm the chair of this meeting. She's not making any personal attacks.
Ms. Richardson is the first black city clerk.
Madam Mayor, it's
You all are
stated
angry
on our
about that, so
public
you all
agenda,
want everything
public
possible
comment
in your
about
power to
decorum
punish
in the
her.
council chambers. I can read it to you if you would like.
I am
This
done.
is far outside the bounds of public decorum.
I'm not going to stop anyone from making public comments. I believe I learned that lesson with Ms. Sweeney.
I believe you should stop people from attacking the council as racist.
There were no personal attacks.
That is a personal attack.
Ms. Bender, we've already established that this is not a limited forum, that people have the right to First Amendment. Ms. Sweeney established that. I'm not going to limit somebody's public comment.
My name is Bobby Howard, and I'm a member of the Snellville City Council, but as I stand here right this moment, I'm nothing but a citizen of the city of Snellville. My address is 2240 Pinehurst Road, Snellville, Georgia. On the agenda that I sit up there and I work from, there is placed on that agenda the word decorum. It says you must conduct yourself in a professional and respectful manner. All remarks should be directed to the chairman and not to individual council members, staff, or citizens in attendance. Personal remarks are inappropriate. I just wanted to get that out there. It went so far past what's on here.